Praying to my gun and be my valve. Me and two in the shower. Two sauced up on me, I'm going foul. Jack boy, I sell his zip a brick of flour. Hand on my gun, hand on my valve. Hand on my gun, hand on my valve. Hand on my gun, hand on my valve. Praying to my gun and be my valve.
Hey everybody, this is Sweet Lips with Pip TV 2021 Next Level with Carl Pipkins. Y'all sit back and enjoy.
What's up everybody? Yeah, I'm finna take this shit to the next level. Carl Pipkins, straight up out of Tyler, Texas. Shout out to that Tyler, Texas. Straight up out of Butler College, aka BC. Shout out to that BC. Shout out to that Jackson Street. Shout out to that boy Vern. Shout out to that boy JoJo. Shout out to that boy Jason Gossett, Jackson Street boys. Shout out to that boy Kelvin Jones. Shout out to that boy Benjamin White. Shout out to that boy Jerome Rice, Markenberry Lane. Shout out to them Wade boys, R.I.P. Boo Butt, R.I.P. Bubba Duck. Shout out to that boy, the boys, the Mitchell boys, my kinfolk, Clay, Greg, Terry. I love y'all boys. Shout out to that boy Mike Beasley. Shout out to that boy Larry Allen Jr. Shout out to that boy DC. Shout out to that boy Larry Yarbrough. Yeah. Shout out to that boy Monkey Roo. Just to name a few. And for all y'all boys don't know, man, I was born in White City. Shout out to that boy Shimmy Amy, my brother, White City's finest. Shout out to that boy Dale Tilley, yeah, OG Dale Tilley. Shout out to the little homie John Porter. Shout out to the Amy boys. Shout out to the Daniels and Walker boys, my kinfolk. Shout out to that boy Poe King. Yeah, White City. Yeah, White City on me. The West is in me and on me. See it right here, check it out. Yeah, West Side. But on another note, man, I moved to Butler College when I was 8 years old. And the first nigga I fucked with when I moved to Butler College was Kenneth Gossett. Shout out to that boy Kenneth Gossett. Kenneth Gossett went to Pete, and I went to Pete. You know, how I got linked up with Kenneth Gossett is, his daddy used to mess with my great-grandpa. My great-grandpa lived in the hood on Robbins Street, right next to the park. Shout out to my pawpaw, James L. Mitchell. And Kenneth Gossett lived on Academy. I lived on Jackson. And Kenneth Gossett had a cousin that lived on Jackson. He lived 3 houses down from me. And Kenneth Gossett introduced me to his cousin, which was Jason Gossett. And Jason went on, me and Jason went on to be like brothers. His mom and daddy took me in as a son. And man, I spent the night at their house. I went everywhere with them. I went to family reunions with them, everything. And that boy JoJo and Vern, they lived on the other end of Jackson, down on Jackson Hill by Peach Park. But after a while, they moved down on our end. And when they moved down on our end, me and JoJo got like that. JoJo was my nigga. And Vern and JoJo was brothers. So when it was like Vern was like my brother. If Vern get on JoJo ass, he'll get on my ass. He'll protect JoJo and he'll protect me. That's just what that was. And man, at that time, man, it was like Jackson Street was like the punkest street, you know, in the hood at that time. They had like 3-4 bootleggers on the street. They had niggas riding around and low riders all day long. Boys selling dope, hoes walking up and down, jumping in and out of car, doing what they do. And it was just kids. Kids was everywhere, man. Kids playing everywhere. And I remember sitting on the porch looking at all this shit, man. And it was like, man, I couldn't wait to get off the porch. I already knew at 8 years old, I said, I'm going to be out there in them streets. And I remember in the beginning, man, my grandma, she was just, me and my sister, we had to play in the yard. So every now and then, I'd try to ease down there by the street, and she'll holler out the door, get your ass back in this yard. So I run back up in the yard, man, and after a while, she ended up meeting Jason mama, she ended up meeting JoJo mama, she ended up meeting Rochelle mama. Shout out to Rochelle Slaughter. Shout out to that boy Andre Slaughter. And once they all got cool, I started being able to go down the street, and move around a little bit. So one day, I went down to Jason's house, and he tell me, he said, man, me and Philip his brother, shout out to Philip Gossett, man, we finna go to baseball practice. He was like, you wanna go? I was like, yeah, I wanna go. So at that time, Jason and Philip was the only boys on the street that went to Matty Jones. Everybody else went to Pete. So we strike out, we headed to Matty Jones. So once we get down to Matty Jones, they hit the field, they practicing. I'm on the sideline watching them. And a big old fat white dude, he was coach. Big old fat white boy, he was cool as a motherfucker. He fuck with niggas and shit. So they out there practicing. So after a while, the coach look over there at me, he said, hey son, he said, you wanna play some ball? I was like, yeah. He said, well get out there, let me see what you got. And what's so crazy about it, everybody on the team was right-handed. I'm left-handed. I ain't have no glove. So I got the homie glove and I put it on my left hand. I got out there. Coach hitting me some balls, I'm scooping up some and some going through my legs. But when I was scooping up, I had to take the ball out the glove with my right hand and throw the glove off my left hand and put the ball back in my left hand just to throw it. And I had too much shit going on like that, But long story short, man, the coach ended up, he put me on his team. And now that I think about it, I'm like, man, I was trash juice back then. Shit, I was worse than trash. I was the juice. But I'm on the team anyway. And coming from White City, back in them days, when I was over there, I ain't play sports. We didn't play sports over there. All we did was ran up and down the street, barefoot, chunk rocks, pick berries, and roll wooden go-karts. Shout out to my kinfolk Roger Allen for making the wooden go-kart, man. So when I got to Butler College, all the homies, man, they playing sports. So I go over to Jason's house, every day to kick it with them. They ain't watching cartoons. They watching the Chicago Cubs baseball team on TV. So I sit down there with them and, we watch the game. And I learned a little bit about baseball by watching the game. Then after the game, we go in the backyard. We play baseball in the backyard, or we might go to the street and play baseball. And when I go to JoJo's house, he watching football. So I sit there and watch football with him. Man, everybody in the hood was Dallas Cowboy fans. My grandma was a diehard Dallas Cowboy fan. Man, it was so crazy, man. The homies in the hood, man. When the Cowboys lose, man, homies in the hood, they come outside, they mad, they ready to fight. They fist balled up, man. They ready to fight somebody behind them Cowboys. Then you might have some of the homies over here. They come outside, they crying. I'm talking about crying for real. I'm talking about alligator tears. Nigga crying hard than a motherfucker just cause the Cowboys lost. Boy, I'm fucking with them Cowboys, man, for real. So when we would take a football game to the street, at that time, I didn't know how to do nothing but run. I was the fastest boy on the block. I ain't had no hands. I couldn't catch a cold. But the older boys in the hood, they worked with me. That boy James Williams, a.k.a. Jamie worked with me. Shout out to that boy Jamie. That boy over there on Robin Street, Tony Jones, he worked with me. That boy Vern, he used to work with me. That boy Keith Rollins, shout out to that boy Keith Rollins, he worked with me. That boy Trina Lyons, he worked with me. And, all them boys at that time, man, they was in high school, man. They were playing high school baseball. They was on the basketball team. They were quarterbacks, for the high school. So them boys were hard, man. Them boys had skills. So they was working with me. Man, after a while, I ended up being one of the best athletes in the hood. My game was tight. So, man, White City born, Butler College raised, man. Mixed bloodline like a pit. Pip TV, man. Y'all subscribe this shit. Y'all share this shit, man.
Praying to my gun and be my Bible. Me and two in the shower. Two sauced up on me, I'm going foul. Jack boy, I sell is the brick of flour. Hand on my gun, hand on my